So guys, we're on to the next game. Good thing you've been watching every single video I've made, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you understand what's going on? You understand what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me.
It's Ratchet and Clank and they're buddies. But I think they didn't like each other at the beginning, right?
How do you know that?
And they fight the big guy with the head that gets chopped off eventually. And he's like crass and weird.
How do you know that? All right. What's up? This is lore. Ratchet and Clank lore by Zach in parentheses, Zad720 in parentheses, gamer hashtag in parentheses, YouTuber.
But wait, are you not going to introduce me?
Hi, this is Julia, my own fiance. I paid lots of money.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay. Whoa! There's a laser cursor. Anyways, gamers, this is a stage 1 classics. These 3. Stage 2 spin-offs. These 3. Stage 3 future. These 3.
Quest for booty. Crack in time. Size matters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anyways, on to the first. November 4th, 2002. We got this stretched image of Ratchet and Clank. The first one. Classic. We got this guy, Ratchet. He's 15 years old-ish. He's young, right? And he lives on this planet called Veldin, right? And he's a mechanic, and that's his ship. And he's fixing the ship. And he lives all by himself for some reason, because he's 15.
Okay.
And then also we have Clank. He's 5 seconds old. And he is from this planet. I don't know much about the planet, but
He's so cute and tiny.
he is pretty cute and tiny. But he slides out of this slide and escapes the planet, basically.
Good for him.
Oh yeah, ignore that. He slides out this thing and it says he's not a regular robot. He crash lands and Ratchet finds him. And he said, we got to save the solar system. And he says, nah. And then Clank shows Ratchet a video of this guy who's evil. His name is Chairman Drek. He's evil. He basically, I didn't actually put what he does. He destroys planets and with the purpose of building a new planet. So that he can destroy that planet. And get money from it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Just kidding. But anyways, they crash land onto this planet and you meet this guy whose name is the plumber and he says, look, plumber's crack. Isn't that funny? Get it?
I get it.
But that's a plumber. He's a cool guy. And what? Oh yeah, you fight with all these guns and stuff. I don't know why the pictures are so blurry. And you even drive a hoverboard. It's pretty cool. And then you go to this planet called Pokitaru. It's just a cool planet.
Hawaii.
Oh, I forgot to explain him. Anyways, the whole point was Clank wanted to find this guy. His name is Captain Cork. And he is a superhero. He's famous and he's not evil at all. And this is going off the rails already. But anyways, Clank wants to find him so that he can stop Drek, basically, right? But anyways, turns out that Cork is evil, and see, he traps them and makes them die. But then they escape, and Ratchet says, "I'm done with this stupid hero stuff. I've got my own agenda now."
Oh, I remember that part.
He wants to kill Quark. But anyways, then he kills Quark and he says, "This is a lot bigger than you or me. I was really selfish for focusing on Quark." Character arc. That's a character arc right there, if you don't know. But anyways, they don't actually kill him. He just flies into a planet. Anyways, that's when I spilled Dr. Pepper all over myself. Sandwich. 2 straws. Oh! That was fun. And then yeah, you fight that guy is Drek in there, right? And you fight this big giant boss, and he's super really hard to beat, and then you kill him. But this is a crazy part. You defeat him. They're hanging off a ledge. I'm serious. This is, you can't write this stuff. They're hanging on a ledge, and then Clank falls, and my arm appears to be badly damaged. And you know what Ratchet says? He'll be all right. And then he literally walks away.
Clank looks so sad.
And then he walks away with a broken arm.
That's so sad. I don't like Ratchet right now.
But then Ratchet says, "Hey, Tin Can, we need to fix that arm." And then they walk away into the sunset.
That's the first game.
Yeah, that's the whole first game. It's enough to make a grown man cry. Next, in the year later, we have Ratchet and Clank going commando. So they're just chilling. They're just on their couches doing an interview. They're like, no one needs a hero. We're heroes. We saved the world, you know? Then there's this random lady, right? But then this guy named Abercrombie Fizzwidget from a different galaxy is like, I need your help. If you help me, Clank, I'll give you a girlfriend. And he's like, bling. And then,
oh, weird.
and then he's like, Ratchet, I'll give you karate skills and origami skills. So they're like, yes. But basically, there's this thing. It's called a proto pet, and it was stolen from.
So cute.
It's pretty cute. Isn't it cute?
It's
But anyway.
so cute.
So basically, someone kidnapped this person.
Oh.
This person and his minions kidnapped that little fuzzy thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, we need your help. So they get him some cool armor. And then Clank gets kidnapped by that guy. He's in his baths, you know what I mean? He's kidnapped, basically. But anyways,
funny.
it's like crazy because he kidnaps him, right? And then he puts him in this freaking torture device, and he's like, you gotta save your boy right now. So it's like pretty dramatic, right?
He's talking to Ratchet and saying like,
Yeah.
you need to come get. Okay.
Yeah, and he's just right there like either having a really good time or a really bad time. I can't tell. But anyways, you save Clank like 10 minutes later. It's not that important to the lore. So then they find it's called the experiment. The experiment is safe and in our possession. And
Why is Clank's hand like in its mouth?
it just ate his hand because it was cute. But anyways, there was some tea about Quark got arrested fleeing to Polka.
It looks like he's picking a wedgie.
He kind of probably is. But then yeah, he went to jail. So there was just a little clip about what happened to Quark. But anyways. Thief is a girl. She's the same as Ratchet. That's crazy.
Oh.
So
now he's in
a
love.
she. I don't know. But anyways, the freaking experiment starts eating people, and then they start like, oh, police. It was funny. But yeah, so it turns out the proto-pets are like super evil, and this lady knows because she used to work for the company that made them, and she was like, they're evil. So we're gonna have to get rid of them. But what, like, why did you give it back to him? Turns out that Quark is the one who orchestrated it all.
Oh, because he's evil.
Yeah, and so he was like, basically, this is in a different galaxy, right? So he was like, I'm gonna go to a new galaxy, and
be
I'm
the
going.
evil person
No.
there.
I'm gonna go to the other galaxy, and I'm gonna create this pet and make it evil, and then I'm gonna kill it, and then be the hero. He just wants to be like liked by people.
Yeah.
This girl comes, and this girl who is kind of Clank's girlfriend gets shot by Abercrombie Fizzwidget and dies. Like straight up dies.
That's so sad.
And then
Oh, is that
he,
the girl?
yeah, that's a girl. She's really tall.
Yeah.
But anyways, if you see their face, he's doing something weird, right? He was Quark the whole time.
What the heck?
He was Quark literally the whole time.
Not Fizzwidget.
And then the experiment turns into that giant thing, and then it eats Quark.
But Quark doesn't die yet.
He dies. He gets eaten.
He does not die.
He gets eaten. There's nothing else I can say. But anyways, that's just a picture of
That's
it.
great.
That's the final boss of the game. And then you defeat it, and then she gives Clank and Ratchet a kiss on the forehead, and then he's dead and everything. And then the real Abercrombie Fizzwidget comes out. He was real. This is a real one, not Quark. he was hiding in the closet. But then she and him are like co-workers now. And then that thing spits out Quark. And then
Oh.
his girlfriend's dead. And then
That's so sad.
Ratchet's like, we can fix her. And Clank's like, really? And then for some reason this scene happens in the end where Quark gets, you can see my face, I'm scarred. I don't understand it either. It's enough to probably make a child traumatized low-key. Anyways, November 2nd, 2004, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. There's this show called Secret Agent Clank where he's like in a show now, and Ratchet's the chauffeur in the show, and he's like, man, I hate being the chauffeur. Chauffeur. And then this lady comes on the news and is like, yo, this planet called Veldin is being destroyed.
Isn't that his home?
That's his home planet. And so it's being defeated by these guys, right? I think they're called Terracnoids. They blast off so fast that Clank gets flipped upside down for some reason. And then they meet these guys, the Galactic Rangers, and they're like, we're gonna help you out. And then there's this guy who's the president, who's actually just Richard Nixon.
On tonight's episode of Nature's Mysteries, we examine the Florana tree beast. Deep in the dense growth of Florana's Jambu forest lives a mysterious creature. Or maybe he doesn't. It's one of nature's mysteries.
I seen him run right through our camping site. He was buck naked, screaming and holding a banana. Or maybe it weren't a banana. It could be.
One of nature's mysteries. Legend tells that this mysterious creature is actually one of the greatest superheroes who ever lived. Shaped
Not
by his recent
Clark.
past, he is now one of nature's mysteries. Tune in and find out the answers.
When I was little, I was really scared of that. Like, one of nature's mysteries. Like, it scared me for some reason.
That's so funny.
You meet this lady named Sasha, who is actually the president's daughter. And she's like the commander of the starship Phoenix, it's called, and he joins them. So you find Quark, and he has a new monkey friend.
And a beer.
Yeah. The monkey's name is Scrunch, but for some reason Quark doesn't remember who he is, like at all. He thinks that he's a monkey. But then you meet this guy named Dr. Nefarious, right? He's the villain, and he's like, I want to make all people into robots. He's like, I'm gonna turn every single organic life into a robot, right? And then that's his butler doing sign language interpretations. And then he returns to his former glory.
Hey guys.
Yeah. Well, this is after like you kill like this giant spider, and then he comes, takes the glory, basically.
Stupid.
That's like all he does. That's Courtney Gears. She's pretty famous around these parts. But there's Clank, and he gets kidnapped by Dr. Nefarious. He's like, I'm gonna turn your best friend into a robot. And then he's like, no, you can't do it. And then he gives Ratchet an evil Clank.
No,
Then-
you can tell the difference, bro.
No, his eyes are mostly usually green, but when he walks away from him, he goes, ha ha ha. So you know he's evil. I don't know why there's another clip. Let's find out.
Oh, like I never knew you were this kinky, Miss Gears.
Don't you ever shut up.
Okay, I'll zip it. Man, the guys aren't gonna believe this.
Like, destroy or squeeze.
No. That's the clip. So they're turning their friends into robots.
Evil robots.
Evil robots. This is not good.
This is not good.
Then you kill Courtney Gears.
Nice.
That's her dead for some reason. And then you go to Dr. Nefarious' ship, and he gets like stuck sometimes, and he just makes a funny noise, and then that's what he looks like. And you blow up his ship, and he's like, no, but then he teleports out. But then Captain Quark dies.
Again?
No,
for
he's
like
dead.
The 5th time.
No, this time he's actually dead.
I don't believe you.
So, but everyone's like super sad. This is Helga. This is Al. This is Grunch. And they're like, bro, whatever. He was not that cool. And so he dies or whatever, and then you find out that the Clank is evil, and the real Clank is like, you defeat evil Clank, and then the real Clank is like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have gotten kidnapped. And then you find some lore about Dr. Nefarious where he actually was like a regular person. And then Captain Quark bullied him in high school, and then basically he turned into a robot, and then I don't know what this is, he captured him for some reason, and that's his head. At one point you get this video of this random lady who no one can recognize, and so you're like, wait a minute, Ratchet's like, that's Quark disguised as a woman. And so you go find him, and Clank says, the people of the galaxy need you, Quark, they believe in you, and you give them hope. You have a chance to redeem yourself and become the hero you have always wanted to be. And Scrump said, wah. So basically he is super sad because he's like, I can't do anything right. And then Clank gives him this talk.
Like they had the funeral for him and he's back again.
Oh, okay.
Already?
Yeah. So he had the funeral, and then you see a video of this.
I see.
And so they're like,
Okay.
he lied, and so they find him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
But anyways, you go fight Dr. Nefarious, and then you kill him, and he gets stuck in that pose again for some reason. And Lawrence has a guitar for some reason. And they're looking at something. That's the thing that turns people into robots, and it just turned into a freaking mech. But anyways, then Captain Quark comes and shoots it and saves the day. And that's the end. And they go to the movie premiere, and then Ratchet gets a kiss from Sasha, and Clank almost gets a kiss from Scrunch, and he's like, ah. And then there's a part where Dr. Nefarious and Lawrence are on a meteor.
Where did Clank's girlfriend go?
I don't know, she's not in it.
Sad.
Yeah.
After they made a whole.
Well, you didn't think about this. The other girl that looks like Ratchet isn't in it either. She like never shows up again. So, anyways, finish. It's enough. I think it's enough, right? Wrong. Stage 2 spin-offs.
We're only on stage 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is Ratchet Deadlocked in 2005. As you can tell, it is a different name. It only says Ratchet because mainly in the game, there's this place called Vox Studios, and they have this guy named Vox. He has this thing called Dread Zone, where he kidnaps superheroes and make them fight each other to death, basically. And this is like the main guy. He's like, I'm the best at killing everyone. But then Ratchet gets kidnapped from his ship, and then you see this little necklace.
Yeah.
They like are stuck there, so they have to fight in this like thing. And then you meet some friends like these guys, but Clank is stuck in a chair, and this guy is there. And as you can see, there's Juanita, and I forgot his name, but they are like the talk show hosts of the show, so they're all in the game. But then you defeat this guy, and you're like, and he's like, don't let Vox do to you what he did to me. And then you kill Vox, and then Vox is like, I'm gonna blow up this entire place with you and me in it and all these fans just because I'm evil. But anyways, then you escape. And
That guy's head's pretty
yeah, he's just having fun, and they escape in the escape pod. That was that whole game. Next game, Ratchet and Clank Size Matters. Does size matter? We are about to find out.
That's funny that That's funny.
But anyways, here's the thing about this. This was on this device, so it's like for like a handheld,
Yeah.
and it's not made by the same people. I never told you who made the other one, but it's like made by this company.
Oh, interesting.
But anyways,
Oh, yeah, you can tell.
yeah, it's made for a handheld game. But anyways, they're just here on the beach, right? He's making his sandcastle, he's drinking his wine. Then this girl comes up and is like, can I take some pictures of you? And they're like, sure. And then Quark says, I never knew my family.
Where did he show up? Why is he everywhere?
He just there, but he's like, I never knew my family, and he's really sad. And so he's like, I want to find my family. And then this girl gets kidnapped, right? She literally gets kidnapped by robots, and then they leave this orb, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they find this planet in the orb, and they find this map of like other planets, right? And this orb is from like a species of like people who created the universe with like technology or something. I don't know, it's kind of confusing. There's this planet called Caledon. I thought that was interesting. But then Quark shows up and he's like, I found my parents. It's this guy.
Wait, isn't that like the evil dude?
No, this is a whole new character. So this is a guy, and so that's his parents, right? And he's like, I found them. I'm gonna go find them, right? And so they finally find this girl, right, who was kidnapped, and she's like, hey, what's up, guys? And then she shoots Clank, and Ratchet's like, what?
That was my face.
Literally your face right now. And oh yeah. But anyways, then they get separated somehow, and they kidnap Ratchet basically. And so yeah, and he goes like that for some reason, and then Clank gets put into Robot War 3, like World War 3 kind of.
Yeah.
And he gets into this machine where he has to.
That's a crazy machine.
Yeah, he has to fight other people inside of the machine. And then finally Scrunch comes flying down in his little monkey spaceship and is like, yo, there's danger, and shows him this video of Ratchet being experimented on. Yeah, it's really weird. And then Ratchet has like a crazy dream, like a fever dream, where like Scrunch and Quark are like the nurses, and then he's like freaking out, so he runs away. And then he sees Scary Clank with his head off, and then you see like all the old people, and you see that's the plumber from the first one and stuff, and Drek and stuff. Like it's just really weird. And then Clank's like, wake up, for gosh Pete's sakes. And then you're still in the dream, and then for some reason there's a mirror, but the only thing it shows is you without clothes on. And then you can break the mirror and stuff, and then you see a giant Clank head with blood on the bottom, and these are like flying syringes. And then you finally
He's still in his fever dream?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
But he woke up now. And so basically there's like this bottle that they find, and he's like, oh my goodness, they stole something from me, my DNA. And so he throws it, so they blow up that place. And then you go to Technomite City, you shrink down, and then you find the girl, right? And she's got robots coming out of her head. She's a robot, and then she flies away. So it turns out she was a robot the whole time.
She has robots coming out of her head.
You see this like a bridge. This is them walking on the bridge. So then
They're tiny.
Yeah, they're even tinier, but that's Ratchet and Clank right there.
Oh.
So we're inside of the evil city. This is the city, but we shrunk into it. Yeah. So she flies away, and then you fight her. She's got robot demon eyes.
Yeah.
She flies like a plane at you in the cornfield and stuff.
Looks pretty.
And then you finally kill her, and Clank puts his finger in her head and is like, I'm gonna find the coordinates of this place. And then when he does, he gets zapped by her, and then he like dies kind of. But then Ratchet shrinks inside of him. He dies right inside of him, and he meets this guy who's like a security guard
Inside of Clank?
Yeah. But then
That's cool.
you have to like turn his system back on and stuff, and then he's like super mad. He's like, I'm gonna find the bad guys. And Clank is like, let's go. And then turns out they cloned a bunch of Ratchets, and they're like wearing weird ninja uniforms. And then yeah, you fight him, right? That's him. And you finally fight him. There you go. You finally fought him and stuff. And that's the real Quark's family. They figured it out. Isn't that cool? But they're dead. And Quark is sad.
I would be sad too.
Yeah, so he found out his parents are dead. They died. But at least he knows that his parents were heroes too, right? That's him as a baby. Very cute. But anyways, then Quark gets super mad and grabs the dude and throws him onto this thing that like transfers your brain to each other. And he's like, if you think I'm so stupid, I'm gonna replace my brain with yours so that you're stupid. And then Scrunch like bumps it off, but then it goes onto Scrunch's head, and then this guy becomes a monkey.
Oh, that's so funny. And he's like super smart now?
No, it transfers the brain to the person. It like copies it to them.
okay.
So they have the same brain now. They're both monkeys.
That's so funny.
Yeah, anyways, wow, that was certainly a game. That's what I said about it because I was really confused. Next game, Secret Agent Clank.
Pretty cool.
also made on the PSP. But anyways, it starts and you find out that Ratchet is a thief and he stole a diamond, right? Yeah.
Why? What?
That's Clank is like, why the freak? And so Ratchet goes to jail and Clank is like, what? What is even going on right now? But anyways, he's secret agent Clank. So he's like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Little tie.
And so you do all these things, you dance with
He
this
did.
you dance with this lady and this piranha plant hits her head because she's
Oh,
like evil.
I thought maybe that was like her whole head. I was like, what?
No. And then you become a cowboy and you
What the
gamble.
Heck is that?
You gamble with this lady. You play like poker and stuff and then you win. And then Ratchet's in the shower of prison and the plumber comes up. You remember him?
Like plumber's crack.
Yeah,
guy.
the plumber's crack guy, that's him. He's just there for some reason and he's the plumber for the prison and he gives him a gun. And then he fights and then there's like you can knock his towel off and it shows a bar. And I was like, what is even going on right now?
Okay, that's kind of funny.
Turns out the bad guy was evil Clank the whole time. And he has a goatee. But he's evil, right? And he's
Wait, so Ratchet didn't steal?
like,
Did. And
no, he didn't. But
Evil Clank just made it seem like that.
no, evil Clank mind washed him to do it.
Oh.
Remember, this is gonna blow your mind. You see this on his hat thing?
Oh.
Turns out he was being brainwashed to do it. Anyways, there's this one weird part where you have to be Quark riding this horse and fight these cactus people. And then there's this one part where Quark isn't wearing any clothes for some reason. I don't know. But anyways, then you defeat evil Clank and they turn him into a vacuum.
That's smart.
He's like, I'm gonna suck up that with a vacuum. It's pretty cool. Stage 3, Future. 2007. This was the first game that I ever played. So we need to give you some lore to that.
Oh, so like you didn't play the original ones first?
No. This is Ellen.
DeGeneres?
That's my aunt.
Oh, that's Mindy.
And that's my mom. So they went to Ellen and they won a PlayStation 3 and they won this game and I played it as like a little kid. So we have October 23rd, 2023. What? October 23rd, 2007. In this game, you're in the Polaris Galaxy, a new galaxy. So think of this as like not a remaking, but like a refresh. You know what I mean? So this is a beginning. See how they look different?
Yeah.
Like Ratchet looks
Especially
different.
Quark.
Yeah, he looks very, I don't know the word.
Smooth.
Smooth. Yeah, that's a good word. But anyways, so they're just working on their ship and then Quark calls and he's like, guys, I'm being attacked. And so they hop in the plane and they crash and then you grind on this rail while the city's falling apart and then you skydive and stuff. And then you see all these ships and stuff and they're like, Clank's a toaster and they see Ratchet and they're like, Ratchet is this thing is that. And so they're like, I'm gonna shoot him. But anyways, you behold the last Lombax in the universe. There's this person named Emperor Percival Tachyon.
He's freaking.
He's crown prince
scary.
of the Kragmites. Does that make sense?
Yeah, he's freaking scary though.
Yeah, he is scary. But anyways, your name's Percival. So they make fun of him for being named Percival. And then they steal his ship. And then they are put to sleep. And then Clank has this weird dream with this thing. And yeah. And he has a dream and they're like, his past is inside this place. So he's like, what? And so,
Clank's?
no, he was talking about Ratchet because it said Ratchet was the last Lombax in the universe. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
So he's the last in the universe. And then you meet this guy named the Smuggler and his parrot friend. And I don't know why I put that in there. But basically Ratchet is like chilling. And they're in the Smuggler's ship. And then the Smuggler kind of tells him the Polaris Galaxy, Tachyon owns all of it. And then they find out that the Lombaxes killed all of Tachyon's race, the Kragmites. They killed all of them. They like
That's
got
so
rid of them.
sad.
They left the Cragmite planet, nothing but an empty hunk of dirt, and then they dropped them out of the ship for some reason.
I would feel bad if I was Ratchet, even though, like, obviously it would be him, but that's sad.
Right. And then Clank sees these guys again, and it says, Ratchet, those creatures are telling us to go inside of there. And Ratchet's like, what creatures are you even talking about? Like, you're literally crazy.
Oh.
Then they give Clank wings. And Ratchet's like, how did you get those wings? And he's like, I don't know, man. They gave them to me.
That's so cool.
And then they fly to this place and they find this planet called Fastoon, and it turns out that it's a Lombax planet, which is Ratchet's race. So they're like, we gotta go now. And Clank's like, oh, one thing that I forgot to tell you, the database says this planet was deserted years ago. So he thought he was about to find his mama, you know what I mean?
Oh.
But it was not in the stars. But then you find this spaceship that's broken, and he's like, we need to fix the ship. And then it turns out, whoa. Clank is having another fever dream, and it says they will return. And I don't know if you see that, but there's some eyeballs and stuff around. So they're talking about the Cragmites, basically. So turns out the ship is a person, and it can talk. And it's like, the Lombaxes are gone. Like, I thought I'd never see a Lombax again. And then they find Quark is working for this guy, Tachyon.
Of course.
Yeah, Quark is like working for Tachyon for no good reason. But luckily, Ratchet gets a disguise so that no one recognizes him. And then you fight this guy. And then there's a video about like somewhere in this galaxy is the filthy Lombax secret. And they can't find it anywhere, but it might be on this place, right? So they go to this place and meet these people. You find out she has a dad named Max Apogee, and he disappeared, but this is the Lombax secret, and he discovered it, but then he disappeared, and she's been looking for him forever with these two. This guy's name is Kronk, and this guy's name is Zephyr. That's their names. They're pretty cool. And then finally you go find the secret and stuff, and there it is. And then these people show up. This is Slag, and this is Rusty P, and they're singing an inappropriate song. And then Slag there, and he's like, I smell a Lombax. I haven't had one of them for dinner for 600 moons. And so Ratchet's like, but then finally he opens the Lombax secret, which shows this planet. So you go there, right? Smuggler again, he shows up and he gives you this epic bike thing. And then you find out that the secret is a hat called their Dimensionator. And basically the Lombaxes built it to banish the Cragmites away. Does that make sense? So they got rid of the Cragmites with this hat. And it's on this planet. So you go to this planet, this guy's there for some reason again. There's dinosaurs and stuff. It's pretty cool. And then you see the plumber. Wow. And the plumber goes, he's fixing a giant toilet, and then he gives you this like bolt for some reason. He's like, do you need this? And then gives it to them, and then he flushes himself down the toilet. Which I think he said like, I'm building a new form of interplanetary travel, and then flushes himself down the toilet, and they're like, okay. And then you find this place called Iris supercomputer. It's got an IQ of 3 billion. That's pretty smart. And then the Zoni and stuff. Oh, that's their name, the Zoni. You find out that they're called Zoni. Basically, Clank finds out that she's in jail, and then they find out that this guy who's her dad, Max Apogee, tracked the Dimensionator to this planet. And so they're like, we gotta go to this planet. And Clank's like, dude, we have to go save the girl in the jail. And Ratchet says, you know, Clank, just once, I wish you'd listen to your real friends. But they go save her anyways from jail. Wow, a jailbreak. You sure know how to impress a girl. So they jailbreak her, and then they go to this planet that's being invaded by pirates, space pirates. But then you defeat this guy in his massive suit ball thingy, and then you get the Dimensionator right there. You see it? That's the hat, and they finally found it. And then Rusty Pete and Slag come out of nowhere and they steal it. There they are. then he throws him on the floor, and then the point is, you see that he has the hat. You see it?
Oh yeah.
So then they go find him. They follow him straight up, and then Ratchet kills Slag. That's Slag's head, and then there's me crying because it was very emotional. And there's Rusty P going, no. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Isn't that sad?
It is sad.
And then Captain Quark comes out of nowhere and steals the helmet. And he's like, I'm gonna be the good guy and go stop the bad guy. And he flies away and gives it to him, and he uses it. That's what it looks like when you use it. And it goes,
That's crazy.
that's the
Punching.
that's the Dimensionator. And he brings back the Kragmites, which is this guy. They get separated for a minute, but then they find each other, and then they almost hug, but they don't because she's watching, so they just fist bump for some reason. And then you find Quark hiding, and he's like, I'm not a hero. I don't deserve these abs or these arms or this beautiful butt. And Clink is like, what? Tachyon took the bad guys to Fastoon, the planet where his race lived, like that we went to earlier, that was abandoned.
Who took who?
This guy took these guys to this planet that his family's from. You go to this place and you find the bad guy, and then the bad guy opens a portal to where his race is, and he's like about to walk in, but then he's like, no, I'm not going to do it because no one will be safe. And so then you fight him, and then you fight him right
No one
here.
would be safe from what?
Him and the Kragmites, because they're evil. And so you fight him, and he goes into a black hole, and then Ratchet's like, well, that was easy. He fell into a black hole, and then he grabs his leg and sucks him into the black hole, and then you fight him some more, and then he falls into a really black hole. Isn't that kind of scary? So then you get the Dimensionator, and it turns out it's broken, but the one thing you need is that bolt that the plumber gave to them, so they use it, and then they go use the helmet, and they say, it's fine home, and then they're home. And then they're like having a good time. Quark is there, and he's teaching him pirate slurs, and they're pretending to play and stuff. And then Ratchet's like, well, maybe I'm never gonna know my family. And Clank's like, you have a family right here, and you saved the universe. And he's like, you're right, buddy. And then the Zoni pop out of nowhere, right? And then Ratchet can actually see them, right? And so he's like, wait, are these your friends? And then they suck Clank up into the air, and then they disappear with Clank, and they kidnap him. And then Ratchet's sad, and they're all sad. And then that's the end of that one. Next game, Quest for Booty, August 21st, 2008. It's called Quest for Booty. These two, her name is Talwyn, by the way, and they're kind of boyfriend and girlfriend. Talwyn.
Okay.
And they're like boyfriend and girlfriend. He's got like pirate clothes on. It's pretty cool. It shows like a story. There's them, and then and then they are looking for him, and they find this lead about this pirate who was friends with the Zoni, so maybe they would know. And then there's Rusty Pete with Slag's head.
Oh.
And he's like, why did you leave me? And then Ratchet.
Wait,
and
because
then...
Slag's head can talk still?
No, so he doesn't. He just like uses it like a puppet.
Oh.
Wow. Like he's very sad. He's grieving still. But then you finally get shot.
He needs some therapy.
Yeah, you get shot out of this cannon. You land on this island, and then he puts his head on a stick, and then he can talk again for some reason. But then he's like, okay, let's go. And then they found the ghost of the pirate they were looking for, but then he
looks like Slag.
He put Slag's head into the body of the guy, and so he had a body again. But then the soul of this guy is taking over the head, so they like are two personalities. And it turns out that Slag killed him. So they're like enemies.
What a small universe.
Yeah, what a small universe. And so he releases the ghost souls of every pirate ever, and then basically you kill him, and you get the thing you need to go here. And you use this to find out that Clink is alive, and there's a Zoni, and he's just in this little thing. And then you find out, dun dun dun, the person who did is Dr. Nefarious from the third game. And he's there. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm. I thought he died.
No, he was on a meteor.
Oh yeah.
So he came back. And then Ratchet flew away. I'm gonna find you. Do 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 do. And then Rusty P and Slag are in the ocean for some reason. Next game.
That
A
looks cool.
Crack in Time. Yep, it is cool. This is the coolest one.
Wait, so they did save Clink or no? Not yet.
No, they just saw a video of Dr.
Okay, they
Nefarious.
just found where he was.
Yeah, that last game was literally like an hour long versus the regular like 8 hour long.
Wow.
So it was really short, but you just find out that Dr. Nefarious is alive. And there he is again. And he uses this thing called the hypersonic brainwave scrambler to scramble their brains, and so they all like disappear. They all like fly away from where they are. And where they are is this
Oh,
place.
that looks so fun.
It's called the Great Clock.
Oh.
Okay.
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 I want to go there.
So yeah, this is where the Zoni live, and there were 200,000 of them, but they all flew away, and now there's only 200 of them because of the hypersonic brainwave scrambler, and there's like lightning and fire everywhere, so it's not fun. And Clink's like, I knew that this was you, and he was like, I'm gonna take over the world. And
his little.
yeah. And then Lawrence, his butler, comes
I
back.
forgot about him.
Yeah, and then he makes Clank just pass out basically. But then Ratchet's all alone, flying in space, looking for his friend forever, and he's so sad. He's so sad, but Quark is
Oh my
but Quark is
Bro,
there.
Quark is like the stupidest person.
And he's like, we're gonna find you a pal so you're not so sad anymore. But then they crash land. But they're like frozen in time where they landed. See how the bird doesn't move? And the ship isn't moving, and they're like, what the heck? And he's like, yeah, and he peed his pants.
Quark?
But anyways, yeah, you go to this village and you find the Zoni, and then you stick a Zoni in the jar for some reason. And they like being kidnapped, but you find them all and they repair your ship and make it blue and cool. Isn't that cool?
So why did they capture? Oh, because they were working for Dr. Nefarious.
Yeah. And then there's this guy, we're back to Clank now. There's this guy named Sigmund who fixes Clank.
Sigmund.
Sigmund. And
Is
then
that a Noni, whatever?
a what?
Go to the next one. Is that a no?
Zoni. So I'll just explain. So Sigmund brings Clank to this little thing that puts Clank inside of his own like head. Does that make sense?
No.
He like flies into this little chamber that puts him into his own consciousness. And there's this guy.
In his conscience.
He's in his own head, basically. This is what it's like. And this guy comes up and he's like, yo, I'm your dad.
What?
My name is Orvis, and I'm your dad.
In your head?
Yeah.
That's weird. I wouldn't want my I don't want my parents living in my head.
But anyway, they do somewhere. Yeah, but then he gives Clank this stick in his head and says this is like the timekeeper. Like basically he tells him that he has a purpose.
He can go to the big clock thing and fix it, maybe.
No.
Oh.
They're already on the clock. That's where they were.
Oh, he is on.
That's where he got kidnapped too.
Oh, I thought Ratchet went. Oh no, you're right. Okay,
Yeah,
I remember the pictures.
Okay.
I was thinking that Ratchet was on the clock thing for a minute, but
he was in the village
yeah,
and kidnapped.
Yeah,
Because,
and,
but then, wait, what the heck? And then, so basically, he's his dad, and he's like, you have a purpose. I'm like God, basically, and like ruler of time or something. And so he gives him this, and he's like, you're gonna be the caretaker of time, basically.
that sounds like a big job.
That sounds like a big job. But anyways, Lawrence shows Dr. Nefarious that Quark and Ratchet are like out and about, and Dr. Nefarious, remember that pose that he hit before? That's him hitting it again, and he's like not moving right now, and his like gears are grinding. It's funny. But anyways, you go to this place as Ratchet now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks really pretty.
Yeah. And you talk to this giant head. And then you go to this other giant head, and there's this guy. Oh, and then there's this guy, and he is another Lombax, and he throws a bomb at Ratchet.
What the
and
freak?
He throws a bomb, and then he chases him, and then he throws him against the wall, and he's like, "Who the freaking F are you, boy? I'm gonna kill you. You're a bad guy." And then he's like, "Hold on a second. You're Caden's son." And it turns out that this guy knew Ratchet's dad, and they were best friends.
Aww.
Right? Isn't that cute?
Mm-hmm.
And he has a little watch of them and everything. And so that's them together. His name is Alistair Azimuth. That's his name. And that's Ratchet's dad in the thing. But basically, he's like,
They had to have been real good friends if you kept a watch of them for that long.
that's a good point. But anyways, so he kind of explains to Ratchet about the Great Clock, basically, and how they can use it as basically a time machine to bring back the Lombaxes, because the Lombaxes all like are gone, like they disappeared, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like got all these like notes and stuff about the Great Clock.
Maybe
and
they want to be gone.
yeah, he's like, if we could just find the Great Clock, we can bring them back, basically. And then
Zoni?
no,
Oh,
Orvis, Clank's dad.
yeah, he just looks a little different.
Yeah. He made a little home video, and he was like, "Hi guys, this is what you need to do just in case." And he explains they gave these people, the Fongoids, like the ability to time travel whenever they wanted, right? They're like, you can use our time travel whenever they want. Well, basically that led to the entire universe exploding. And so the way that they fix that is they built the Great Clock. And he goes, "No time machine. That's the first rule. You cannot use it as a time machine because that will blow up the universe. And the second rule is if you don't understand the first rule, consult rule number 1. Basically, that's the only 2 rules of the Great Clock. No time travel, right?" So you can see a little bit of drama here because
They wanted time travel to bring back the
yeah,
Lombaxes.
yep. And so
It's like... No, his face is so funny. No, it's like...
but basically, I just wanted to point out that Clank's like using this thing to fix like time anomalies on like planets and stuff. So that's pretty cool. But then he sneaks and sees Sigmund looking at a message from Orvis, and he says, "I'm gonna go do this thing. I'm gonna go talk to this doctor guy." And then Sigmund's like, "Don't go." And then basically he is missing now, so no one can find him. And so he's like, what the heck? He's sad. See that? But anyways, back to Ratchet. You fight this giant thing with Quark, and then Quark pets its belly and rides away on it, and Ratchet's like, what the heck? And then there's some lore sections where Ratchet's like, will you just tell me what happened to the Lombaxes? Because I just want to know. You know what I mean? And he's like, you know what freaking happened? I failed them. And he's like, grr. And then he tells us that this guy named Tachyon
Yeah.
approached the Lombaxes, and they said he basically like was telling them about like how he could use their technology for good, and nobody listened except for him. And so he see them, that's him like pitching all the technology. And so he gave them their technology without their permission, and Tachyon ruled them and killed them all, and Ratchet's mom died, and I don't know how long his dad survived before Tachyon caught up. And so
Oh my gosh.
basically they're all dead.
That's so sad. So it's not even that they like just got disappeared, like they
No,
genuinely like
there
got
were
murdered.
a lot that disappeared. Isn't that so sad? Some of them escaped, but they banished him and said, you have to stay because this is your fault, to Azimuth, right? And so he's sad.
Oh.
And he's like, we'll just bring them back with the time machine. That's why we have to bring them back. And Ratchet's like,
Yeah.
you know. And so they get to the screen and talk to Clank, and Clank is like,
Finally.
yeah, they talk, and they're like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm okay. You need to go save my dad. And he's like, your dad? What? So they go to this planet, which is where Orvis said he was going, right? This planet, it's like a Doctor Nefarious planet. You can see like the theme. and the bad guys and stuff. But then, anyways, you time travel 2 years ago for some reason. I don't know why you time travel when there's no time travel, but you time travel, and there's Dr. Nefarious with Orvis. And basically, Dr. Nefarious is just trying to get access into his chamber, because that's where you can control the time in there. He's like, how do you get in it? He's like, there's only one person who will get in it. And then he disappears. Clank. And then Ratchet throws a bomb at Dr. Nefarious. But anyways, now back to Clank. This is him going back into his head. Like, does that make sense? He just like goes back into into his brain. Then the plumber's in there. He is digging out this tube, right? And he grabs this wrench, and he's like, that's what's clogging the system. And Clank's like, why? Clank's like, basically Clank is like, I have a purpose, which is to take care of time, but like, I'm scared that Ratchet won't want me to do that, and he'll want me to stay with him. And so he's like, I think your friend will understand. And then he tells him, all he says is, I wouldn't risk any more than 6 minutes. That's what he says. And then he pushes Clank down that pipe. And then Clank wakes back up. You get into the Orvis chamber with Sigmund and him, and then they see this message that time is a gift and it's not to be messed with. And then Lawrence pulls the plug, and Lawrence is like,
sad.
No, he's not sad. He just looks like that because his master is evil, basically. But he just looks like that. But he pulls the plug, and then back to Dr. Nefarious. Someone knocks on the door, and it's this lady. No one knows who she is.
But he's into it.
He's into it, and his eye goes ring, like his eye falls down, and it's funny. But anyways, you go to this planet, locate and rescue Clank, because this is where they took Clank. This is like a weird Valkyrie planet where all the bad guys are like robot ladies, and robot lady, and there's Clank. So he's there, and then you have to defeat this lady. And so you defeat her, and she busts Clank out while she's dying, and then he goes and grabs his arm, and they're like, so close. And then they find each other again.
Oh, good. Oh my gosh.
I know, right? Isn't that stressful? But they finally found each other, and he's like, I'm just gonna chill for a minute because that's been stressful. But anyways, they're talking and stuff. They're finally together, and Ratchet's like, we need to defeat Dr. Nefarious. And then Azimuth is like, what about the great clock? Like, Clank can get us in, right? And he's like, no. And so he is like, fine, and he flies away. And then they're like, okay, we're gonna go defeat Dr. Nefarious.
I bet he's gonna be evil.
But anyways, you break into it, Quark as the nurse and Ratchet disguised as Dr. Nefarious. He's really short. And Clank is there too. But you break into Dr. Nefarious's place, and then you blow up all of his like little warships and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And then they fall down the elevator, and Nefarious is right there with his bad guys, and then the disguise fails, and then he has like an ominous flashback moment, wavy flashback moment where he's on this rock, and then he crash lands, but he's like crazy and he hates Ratchet and Clank, right? He's got crayons in his mouth for some reason. And then he practiced meditation, and he practiced yoga, and he goes on a walk, and he's finally happy. But then he learned about the great clock from these guys who were the ones who could time travel with it before. So he's like, oh, I'm evil. I'm gonna be evil. So he's like, basically, I'm gonna use the great clock to make every bad guy win and good guys never win. That's his whole evil plan. And so he shoots them off of a meteor, and then they go back in time for some reason again and get statues of themselves on this planet that they save. What did you think?
I thought maybe he like had already used the great clock to like make it so that they always lose, and that's like
their grave.
I don't know. Anyway, keep going.
Anyways, so then you get back, and then you fight him, and then he's like, Clank, you're nothing but a freaking sidekick. that does nothing, and then Lawrence is like, we should hang out sometime because he's the sidekick that does nothing. But then you defeat Dr.
What
Nefarious.
is wrong with his mouth?
That's him dying, basically.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, so he dies, and then Ratchet's like, it was nice knowing you, because they're on this like meteor and they're about to explode. And then Azimuth goes, you gotta hop on. And then he's like, yeah, they fly away together. And it's beautiful. And they're at the clock. And then Clank is like, I gotta go fulfill my duties, right? Isn't that sad? And then they hug, which they didn't hug before. And it's so cute and everything. And then Azimuth is like, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? We gotta go save the Lombaxes, right? And he's like, dude, we have to go. And then they're walking away. And then he's like, what the heck? And then he's like, okay, bro, you're weird. He's like, don't turn away from me. And then he freaking whips out his gun wrench thing and shoots him. And then he falls off the cliff and dies.
No, he doesn't, because there are more games.
Okay, well, pretend that this is 2009 and there are no more games. But he falls off the cliff and Clank is like, ah! So then Clank runs all the way in, and then he literally gets to the thing, and then you have to refer to slide 279 where he says, I wouldn't risk any more than 6 minutes. And so he turns it back time 6 minutes. Yeah, he turns back time 6 minutes right to where Ratchet's about to get shot, and then he saves him. Yeah, let's go. And then Ratchet's like, you almost just shot and killed me, brother man. And then this guy comes in and tries to stop him from using it as a time machine, but it doesn't work. He turns back time and it starts rewinding, and he's like, I turned back time. And then the final boss is him, and you have to fight him. And then Ratchet runs in, tries to stop it, and it doesn't stop. And then he's like, what the freak are you doing? And then he's like, it's not a time machine, you're gonna destroy the world. And he's like, what? It's not a time machine? And you're like, bro, we were telling you that the whole game. And then he's like, what are you doing? And then he goes in there with his wrench, and then he stops it and it explodes. Explosion. And then they're like, what? What's going on? And then he's dead. Right there on the ground. But he stopped time. He stopped the rewind going.
Gosh.
And he's dead on the floor, and there's his little bracelet thing. He's
so
like,
sad.
you saved the world. He's such a good guy. And then the Zoni come in, fix time, and then they're like, oh, I have to compose myself here. It's pretty emotional, but he's like, okay. I'm just kidding. And then he goes, you got to do your thing, right? You have to own time because that's your job, right? And then he's like, goodbye. He's like, I am the ruler of time now. And then he walks away, and that's the end.
That's the end of that game?
No, I'm just kidding. He gives the scepter to
Oh,
Sigmund, and he's like, I'm the guy now, yippee! And then he's like sad, he's about to run away. And then Clank hops in the car, and they vroom vroom fly off together. And that's the end. It's enough to make a grown man cry. And it's okay. And that's the end. Do you have any questions?
Question comes. I don't think I do, actually, but what's the next one called?
It's All for One. And now we can play it.
Wow, that's some crazy lore.
That's some crazy lore. You didn't expect that, did you? Wow.
Wow.
Anyways, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for liking the video.